How did the two of you meet?
We met probably through ASRM. Ron, actually, I already left MD Anderson by the time Ron came to MD Anderson. But through our connection and through ASRM and the meetings, I was able to meet Ron.
Which was your first WSRM or ISRM meeting?
Early 2000s, you think?
Yeah, early 2000s, probably 2002, 2003-ish.
My first WSRM was in Taipei, Taiwan, with Fu Chenwei, 2001.
I think mine was in Buenos Aires, Argentina. That must be like 2004, 6-ish. I don't remember exactly.
What was memorable about it?
Well, the most memorable portion I remember about Taiwan was our gala dinner was on top of the Grand Hotel in Taipei. And 9/11 had just happened. And they had rockets strung on the ceiling. So we're eating and they lit off these rockets and then they went across the entire room with sparks flying out of it. And I think every American ducked underneath the table.
Yeah, my first impression was it's a big meeting and a lot of rooms, scientific programs, and I went to the session about perforated flaps, and then I saw Fu Chenwei sitting right in front of me. That was my during my early career. I only know a few big names, and he kept standing up asking questions. I was like, wow, that's amazing. and actually we came back together. We spent like almost a couple hours at the airport just waiting for the flight. So we had a chance to chat a little bit, and actually he told me that's when I present my tracheal reconstruction work, and he said, the only thing new I heard is actually the tracheal reconstruction.
How was WSRM changed during your involvement in the organization?
I think it's just from organizational standpoint, it's getting better and better organized. Of course, this society got bigger and bigger, and sometimes it's very, hard to manage such a big society. But I think over the years it got better. In the beginning, I remember the Argentina meeting was a real challenge to get things like organized. But I think it's much better.
I think it's interesting. The organization went through a period where reconstruction was not very popular in the United States, I think, and our numbers I think dwindled a bit. And then, with all the financial issues and so forth, it's fascinating to see the younger people come back in and embrace microsurgery and reconstruction even more. So our volume and our numbers have gone up. The panels and the sessions we have here are completely packed. The quality of the material is really phenomenal. And then I think, as Ron said, from an organizational standpoint, we've kind of gone a little bit from a mom and pop organization to really now a more formal professional society. And I think that's going to really help us moving forward.
What do you think is the most important contribution or innovation in our specialty?
Yeah, well, I think you could go back to right from the very beginning, right? Just the ability of making microsuture and having Dr. Bunky, put ears back on, and you could say that that's probably been the most impactful innovation. But we've had so many since then, right? We've gone to super microsurgery, we've gone to AI involving now with microsurgery. We've got the robotic microsurgery. So everything is going to continue to evolve based on, I think, that one foundation as we move forward.
For me, I think it has the thing that had greatest impact on my practice, my career, is the invention of perforated flaps. And this is when I was starting out, and I heard all these perforated flaps. I got really fascinated, and so and that's the area, and I also put a lot of work to it. I think that really made a big difference in terms of the versatility of the flaps and reducing donor side morbidity and all that. So that really had a big impact on me.
Who are your personal legends in plastic surgery and why?
I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll name one who has been more influential in my career, and that was Randy Sherman, because I trained with Randy when I was a general surgery resident at LA County USC. And Randy got me interested in plastic surgery. So he probably is the one who had been more influential in having me go into the specialty itself. Well, I think, he was the person that I sat down with and talked about, should I even become a plastic surgeon? What is plastic surgery? And I do remember these things that you kind of remember from your past, that we did at that time we were doing pedicle flaps, right? So we did a pedicle tram, and I was responsible for closing the belly, and I, closed the belly, and I was so proud of it. And Randy came in and said, how's it going, Greg? And I said, oh, it looks great, Dr. Sherman. Everything's all closed up. He looked right at me and he goes, well, where's the belly button? So then I had to reopen it up and re-put the belly button back in the flap.
For me, besides my mentors during my residency training, like David Larson, Henny Matloop, James Sanger, and as well outstanding microsurgeons, leaders. But when I first started out, there are several big names like in our society, like Ian Taylor with all these angiosome concepts just coming out, and then Fu Chen Wei, Koshima with their perforated flaps, and Peter Nelligan, head neck reconstruction. So these are all the things that I continued to do. So they really had a great impact on my career. And I was involved in research. I did many years of research, and so I kind of got interested in Wayne Morrison's tissue engineering. That's later on I started doing tracheal tissue engineering research. So I think these are all I consider my legends in plastic surgery.
What is your favorite operation?
I still like doing although nobody does it anymore, I really enjoy raising radial forearm flaps, just because I think it's a very thin flap. It's very useful. It has a long pedicle, and nobody does it anymore, right? But I don't know. I think it's a very useful and a workhorse that we used to do. Now a lot more people are doing LT and a variety of the other perforated flaps. So,
my favorite operation is really complicated head neck reconstruction, especially those they come to us after a lot of failed flaps, and then I get excited how to fix them. Yeah, I would say that then you use chimeric flaps, multiple flaps to make it work, give the life back to the patient, and these are very rewarding cases.
What is an operation you no longer perform?
So I think just with the specialty, we've been, at least in my institution, plastic surgery doesn't do much of the head and neck reconstructions anymore, which is a shame because I enjoy it. Even though we have a combined service, that has fortunately gone a little bit away from the mainstream for our residents, and I think that's a shame, because I truly believe, like our hand service, is a very combined, multi-specialty, multi-departmental service that is tremendously collaborative, and I think we could do much more in a more collaborative vein than the way it's kind of shaped. So I don't do as much head and neck anymore. I do more local flaps for melanoma and so forth in the head and neck area, but the free tissue transfers are usually done by the otolaryngology service at this point.
I had to say this, but I don't do breast reconstruction. When David Chan first started the lymphovenous bypass at MD Anderson, and I did a few, but I stopped doing these as well. I got too busy with head, neck, tracheoesophageal, thoracic cases. I just didn't have enough interest to expand in that area. But these several flaps I no longer do, like the V-line flap, used to be very popular. We don't do that anymore because of the other perforated flaps, like scapular, parascapular flaps. We just don't do anymore. Position changes and all that. So we're doing more perforated flaps instead.
What has been the greatest joy of your career?
Yeah, I think, I've had the opportunity to be in a variety of different organizations. And I think the one thing I've taken away from all of them is that, the friendships that we've established. Organizations and titles and everything come and go. But what I think is really special is when you come to some of these meetings, and especially WSRM, it's like seeing everybody that, your family members that you haven't seen in a very long time. And those are hard relationships to really establish on an international level. So I think that's what has been the most joyful in my career, is really establishing that relationship. And at the end of the day, when we're not maybe on a board or doing surgeries as much because we're too old, and we can still get together and chat and sit down and enjoy each other's company.
I agree with Greg. I've seen friends in the conferences. It's really a joy. But I haven't had much leadership roles like Greg has, and so I feel like my probably most enjoyable moments is when I can make a big difference on patients' life or giving patients' life back to them. I still remember during my early career, a couple of patients. We do cancer reconstruction every day. A lot of resections cannot be done without reconstruction, but we do this every day. We don't feel like we are doing something that's significant. But when you do some really functional changes to the patient's life. I remember a couple of patients in my early career. One is a physician. He got mugged. He got totally disfigured. He couldn't, practice. He had like a couple hundreds of surgeries over the years, and he's still totally disfigured. They came to me. I did a few free flaps, and kind of fixed his face all that. And he went back to practice after so many years. And 20 years later, he sent me a message. He said, I'm so grateful that, I would not be here if not because of you. And that really kind of touches my heart. And the other patient, I remember clearly, he had had a cancer. He could not eat for several years, and I did his esophageal reconstruction. He was cancer-free, just a functional issue. And then he was able to eat, and he told me that the first thing he did, he toasted, pour a glass of wine with his wife, sat down, and the first thing he did was toast for Dr. Yu. So that makes you feel really humble and grateful.
What would you have become if not a plastic surgeon?
Pilot. No question.
Wow.
Yeah, I love to fly. Fortunately, this job is taking me on many airplanes, but definitely a pilot.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not sure. I grew up in China. I didn't have many opportunities to learn a lot of things. But a couple of things I really like to do in my hobby. One is listening to music. So over the years, I've built several really nice sound systems. I don't know if maybe if I had some early training in music, I may become a musician or something. But I'm also learning to do woodwork. I thought, this is something, I think we're plastic surgeons, we're pretty good with our hands. I enjoy doing some fine woodwork. Maybe I'll be just a carpenter.